Hello again, guys, and welcome back to the shop. I better wash those running board brackets. Scraping the shin aside, welcome back. We kind of ended up last time getting engine and drivetrain kind of buttoned up and put in the frame, suspension, so on and so forth. We have a lot more to do. In this video, I think we're going to get back a couple more things on the suspension, the steering system. We have a lot to do on the engine, the transmission, the shifter, kind of figure out a drive shaft. We have tons of stuff to do. Let's stop talking about it and dive right on in. Come on. Practically zero on our frame. 2.5-ish. Whoa, why did that change so much? I guess our valve cover isn't exactly straight, but let's say 2.5 on the engine. On the pinion, a little over 3. So it's going to be very interesting. Our pinion is angled up a little higher than the engine and transmission. It'll be interesting to see. Of course, everything's going to change when the weight of the vehicle is on the suspension, but it'll be interesting to see. This thing pretty much has to lose angle when the weight gets on the springs. So it'll be very interesting to see what we end up with on the pinion angle when that happens. I'm hoping we lose somewhere between 1/2 and 1 degree. Time will tell. All right, well, we have this 700 R4, and this works for the 4L60 and the 4L60E, the same product, but this is a mount on the case shifter, so we kind of retain that factory single bend shifter look. This is a 16-inch with black knob and a black handle lever. So this is all going to mount right in here. And I don't know where to begin. We're just going to start figuring it out. We have buttons, yeah? Okay. 2 buttons in the bosses. Easy enough. All right, I kind of have things prepped here. Got these 2 tail housing bolts out. Something like that. Actually don't have any metric Allen heads here. We'll snug these 2 are metric because they're going into that one world government thread again, you know, so we gotta just make do with this thing for now. I'll have to pick up some T-handles. Yeah. Alright, our little tension screws go into the buttons here on each side. Run those far enough in that they're in there but not causing tension. Something that causes tension is never ideal, right? Something like that. There we go. There we go. Okay, now I think... I don't know that there's any rhyme or reason to any of this otherwise. There we go. Alright, now we're going to put tension on these so these brackets move out about 1/8 of an inch. Something like that. I'll get the jam nuts, and that part is good to go. It's already solid, that's for sure. Alright, I ran out and I measured the original engine from the front mount to the original shifter, the center of the original shifter on the manual. That gives us roughly 40 inches, and that comes to about here. And that should be where the front bolt on what they call the banana plate or bracket should be. Unfortunately, that puts us kind of like right there. Obviously, that's a difficulty. Now, moving it 2 inches farther back or whatever space that is, maybe a little less, is more ideal. In the instructions, though, they say if you have it all the way forward, then it's likely you're going to need a bell crank kit, and that is different based on whether you have a manual or a cable drive and an electronic drive speedometer. So, I don't know the differences, like 700 R4, why that would make a difference. I'm trying to think that through, and I'm not sure where that bell crank would mount. But basically, if it's back here, you've got a nice direct, good leverage push and pull to your detent shaft. And here they're almost on top of each other, you know, and so you don't. So I'm sure they just want to get this, they want to get leverage back into the game here. So, and at that point, when you start hooking up your levers, your shift linkage, they really want the cab in place. So I kind of have to stop anyway. I will order that bell crank kit. And kind of just, I'll probably just install this here, get that kit, and then we're kind of done here for now. But I can turn my attention to the parking brake as well. Okay. Pardon my ignorance and childlike excitement, but I didn't realize that the center button was the, you know, your lockout for the detents there. That's delightful. My goodness, what a mess. I can't even get to what I want to work on. Time to pause for 10 minutes and clean up. Nope, not yet. I've taken apart one end of our steering assembly here, steering rod assembly. The ball from the right hand side of the vehicle, that's absolutely beautiful. There is nowhere that I can detect yet. So this old boy just took care of his pickup. So we're gonna, you know, hopefully the other three are just as good. We're gonna find out. Probably be a little stubborn to get it out. Let's see. Come on, baby. Come on. It's more than this vise can cope with. There we go. That one looks nice and smooth as well. Okay, well, everything is completely taken apart. All the cups and springs and little things, you know, all taken out. Everything looks pretty fine. I was gonna say no surprises here, but actually there is a surprise in that it's all just fine. Once again, I mean, usually these things are completely worn out. They've been neglected, and it becomes a problem, but not in this case. This is awesome. So everything here is going to have to go into solvent or degreaser, soak all that stuff, get it all out of here, and then maybe a bath of citric acid to get rid of all the rust, and or whatever we want to do. Maybe just sandblast it, I don't know. Anyway, we know we don't need to order anything, which is incredible. Moving on. Now I have everything cleaned up for our steering knuckles, and everything feels awesome. The bearings, the bushings, the pins, everything is great. Now I went and I got 1-inch disc plugs, you know, to snap back in there because those were ruined. I don't know what happened at some point in this thing's life, but these things, some of these things are just mangled, really chewed up. And if you recall, it was very difficult for me to get the originals, or you know, what was in here, these plugs, out when I was taking all this apart. There you can see how rough that is. So I'm having to come in here and clean all of this up. There's so much material that's been smushed down in the bore there where the plug goes. And so I'm just taking my what's this thing called again? A rotary tool. It's obviously not a Dremel. But just coming in here, it's not taking much, and I'm just cleaning up those bad spots. That ought to work. With the help of our CAD program, I'm getting close to what I think I need, what I think I want. Now obviously this is a rough draft in cardboard, and it needs to be refined a little. It's just getting me, you know, getting me close. But if we get it in here, I'm not exactly dead on where it was from the factory. Not sure, my arm's in the way. This hole here for the cab mount, going across the pivot pin, should be pretty much lined up, centered with that. We're just a tiny bit behind it. And then I think the standoff on the transmission on the original was 9 1/4. Well, you know, we might be pretty close when all's said and done. 9 1/4 from the edge of the frame. Right now I'm at 9 1/2 on that end. And when we're done with this, I'm going to bend this, break this right along that line there, just slightly, so that this, because this whole thing is on an angle, this rod is going towards the center cross member, center of that cross member for the parking brake cables. So this thing's on a little bit of an angle, and I also need to get it away from this here, this bracket here needs, you know, we don't want that rubbing there. So A, I'm going to bend this, and B, I'm probably going to put some standoffs between this and this to help that out. Like a wise guy once said, you've got to carpe der diem while the diem is still 2 diem. Here is my piece, how that's coming along. Get my CAD drawing. Made it a little beefier. I made it out of 1/4 inch. I was planning on doing it out of 1/8 inch, you know, 14 gauge or something, and then putting some structure along the bottom. I ended up just going thick with it. And then I welded 2 studs. One got a little crooked on me, darn it. We'll try it. If it's going to be a problem, we'll heat it up and bend it straight. But anyway, that'll keep clearance where that parking brake assembly is. That bracket with the spring in it. And it'll sit here. All this needs to be cleaned up yet with a die grinder. I'll get in there and do that. Hopefully I have enough clearance for my mechanism to swing in there, but we've got to try it all, and then we will finish it up after we have tried it. I've got little 3/4 inch standoffs, like I said. I'm going to leave those loose for now, and I'll weld them up back at the ranch once I know they're going to work and everything's looking good. And then I put a little bit of a kick in it, like I said I was going to. And then carpeting the diem. Like I said, my straps from Tanks Incorporated were too short, about 7 inches too short from what I wanted. So here at Dad-in-law's, liquid fertilizer is the name of the game, and they make full stainless tank straps on a daily basis. So I just made up 2 stainless ones. I hope 2 inches wide is not going to be too wide. Here's a better shot of it. Because I added the 3/4 standoffs, I wouldn't have had to do that big cutout. Could have just left it straight, you know. That's okay. We still have plenty of strength, and it looks more professional. Sure, why not? Leaves me with a lot more cleaning up to do, too. Oh, well. Guess this way you can get to that pin, right? Alright, well, I don't think you can even see what we built here, but that's okay. There we go. Looks like we're clearing this part. Not that everything's tightened down necessarily. Yeah, well, I mean, it works. Goes through its paces. We're about 3/4 of an inch closer to the frame than we were. But I've just got a frog's hair here that I'm missing. Here's the pivot. We're about, I don't know, 1/2 inch farther back than stock. So all in all, yes, it's going to work. Yes, you wouldn't even notice if you didn't know about it. So I think we're going to run with it and just say that is that. Now I will disassemble all of this, restore it, and refinish our new bracket there, or finish our new bracket. Have my Wix 51-06-060 filter in there. Don't even have oil yet, but you know, we might as well seal this thing up as much as we can. I'm throwing in R45 TS's. This is the spark plug I would have used anyway. But if you're doing anything with adding on fuel injection, on your old ride. Digital gauges, you're going to want to do yourself a favor and do resistor type spark plugs, and don't do solid core spark plug wires. You want those to be compatible with the electronics as well. And of course you want to make sure they are all good, not leaking spark and any of that, because that will mess with everything. If you're doing, we recently learned on the El Camino project, if you have digital gauges, at least with the Dakota Digital oil pressure gauge, you want to make sure you get that sensor as far from the distributor as possible, or that will mess with your oil pressure gauge. You know, everyone thinks technology, electronics are so wonderful, and they are until they aren't. And then you got a problem. So, anyway, I think I'm going to throw the header on here. Shouldn't be a problem to get my steering box in there with that. Just kind of keep moving forward, just playing around. Well, I wanted to throw the headers on. Sanderson is, they self-proclaim, they have the secret weapon as far as no gaskets required for the headers, which is kind of an old school thing anyway, even with the factory. You know, the old school factory ram horn headers ran them without gaskets all the time and they didn't leak. Anyway, they do recommend, despite the fact they say no gaskets, they do recommend putting the high temp silicone Permatex on there. So I've got that curing. They want you to let it cure, so we will turn our attention back to that in a bit. Right now I am going to put the steering knuckle on with you on the left side. I've already got it on the right. Everything went fine. For the cost of 4 expansion plugs, that was like under $2 for all 4, you know. Grease zerks and a new lock washer and fine thread nut. Everything else is reused, which is, it's still blowing my mind, the entire steering system on this vehicle. But anyway, I made sure our pin goes through the axle. I need to tap that bushing in, but I have got these all cleaned up. Bushings cleaned up. The holes in the bushings, not a big deal. The holes in the bushings were not lined up with the grease zerk hole when I took it apart, but there is a machined ring around the outside circumference, so grease would find its way to the pin eventually. So I'm going to line this one up. It's kind of stuck out there a little bit, and we will start putting this thing together. Now, whether it's right or wrong, I don't think the book says anything about it, even if you are reusing things, which they do talk about. I have packed some grease inside our bearing. I certainly don't want it dry going back together. And basically it ends up more or less like a sealed bearing. It's still somewhat open to the elements, but not really. You know, obviously it is not a sealed bearing, but it's also not in direct harm's way as far as, you know, really letting dirt and water into it. So right now I'm just going to be using penetrating oil on our pin. Don't really care where it's at right now as far as the machine slot in it. And we're just going to put this in. What was that? Oh, header bolt fell off the other side of the frame over there. Okay, and they want no more than 6/1000 slop here, so lift this up, and that certainly goes in easier. I think I got up to 12 on the other side. 12 does not want to go in. 10, I can start to stick 10 in there. So just like the other side, what I took out were 2 shims, and I think they're about 5/1000ths each. I left out 1 on the other side, and I'm going to do the same here. And that ought to get us within our 6,000 spec. They just had this thing put together way too tight. So we'll go like that. And we will start again. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. I need you. Nothing else. Oh, my bushing slid down. Alright. Now, before I get carried away, I'm going to take, I want my slot. You see our machined flat spot right here? I want that as close to dead center with the center line of the axle as I can get it, or lined up with this grease zerk, however you want to look at it. And I'm going to put a line here on top so I know where that is. And I probably went too far already, so let's get this shim in here. Get that all lined up with our pinky. Something like that. Okay, that's back in line. On these bearings, there's a cover. You can see the bottom of the bearing, but you can't see it on the top. You want that cover, that shroud, on top. So we're going to slip that in there. Hardly have any grease, but man, I'm getting dirty. I'm going to be watching that mark I made on the top of the pin. Should really be using a brass punch. And now I'm going to be looking in here. I can see that flat spot. Looks like it's pretty well lined up. And we're going to drive our lock pin in to meet up with that. So the flat spot in the pin is on this side. So I got to correspond the flat sides together. Drive that. I am losing header bolts left and right. Drive that in. That'll center the pin up and down and clock it correctly. And then this is our steering stop. We got a little nub here, goes in the hole. Like so. Need to grab my impact. I chase these threads, so they should be easy enough. Yeah, zapper in. Another winner. Okay, let's recheck with 6/1000s. And it's tight. It doesn't want to go all the way in. Can just barely get a corner started. Putting in the other one would be way too tight. I actually don't know how they even did it, so we're going to leave it out. Okay, now get our plugs started. I'm going to put a hammer here on the dome and smack it once, twice. Should be good. Same on the bottom. Except I just have to hit the bottom one for now with the hammer. I don't have room enough to have 2 hammers on the bottom. So there's that. Our stop keeps it from going all the way. I'm going to put a straight zerk here and an angled one here, and that'll have to wait till we have the rest of the steering completed to know how I best want to orient that, you know. But I will tighten those down, and that is all there is to the old kingpin steering knuckle, and that feels great, that bearing and everything. Alright, I'm going to take this apart, clean it up, and get ready for paint. I think I better take a couple pictures too. I think we're going to need some chrome. I think it'd be cool to try to see if those factory heat shields for the ram horn headers would work with this, or ram horn manifolds would work with this header. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know why. I don't think I even really gave it a thought before I ordered these to just use ram horn manifolds. But too late now. We own them, so that may have worked even slightly better, you know, with our center turn down here, but that's okay. We probably gained 1/10 of a horsepower using these, so why not? And they are certainly less annoying than most headers. Alright, I have to get a wrench and then we'll start in the center and cinch all those down. Okay guys, I have these 2 pieces here, my steering mast and my parking brake handle. 2 parts that will be in the cab that will be seen. So I'm going to put a different paint, a nice semi-gloss black on them. Give that a couple coats, and then everything else, once I get everything cleaned up, all the rest of the chassis components, the steering gearbox, the steering linkages, that'll all get the same chassis black that everything else did. Now, if you're not in a hurry for something in particular for your project. A great thing, in my opinion, is to let nature take its course. I have a lot of parts, steering parts, just random stuff that I need. The bump stops for the rear suspension in this tub with citric acid. Now, I've had it in here for a couple of days, and I wasn't gaining much. But I came to the conclusion that the temperature was too low in here. You know, the water would only probably get 40 degrees, 50 degrees, even during the day while I was here. And so I just brought my little bucket heater in, and I'm seeing a lot more activity. I don't know if you can see all the little bubbles and shimmers and sparkles. Well, I bumped the thing now, but that activity has really increased, and it just has a natural swirl going. So I think we are gaining on it through the Kleenex dispenser in here. I really want to incorporate this back in the pickup, and had a little surprise. This is an actual licensed, I mean, it has Kleenex written on it. Auto-serve Kleenex tissues. How cool is that? I'd love to get that front re-chromed. Got my floating hardware boat. But fender braces. There's a bump stop. Just all kinds of stuff. Steering arm. Let it do its thing while I do my thing. Well, here we go. I'm going to start digging in here. Originally, I thought it'd be nice to hook up the pressure washer, take all of this stuff outside, and just try to do that, because this stuff develops a black scum on it. And boy, that stains a guy's hands, you know. But it was mild and rainy this morning, and now the wind has shifted back around to the north. And I'm afraid it's getting a little chilly out there. Anyway, so I'm gonna do it old school. Use my bucket heater here, and warmed up a bucket of water. But we got the Kleenex holder. We got our steering arms. Yeah, that's gonna be good. Tailgate hinges. Oh, I didn't know there was any paint left on them, but there's some blue showing through now. Of course, the bump stops, the parking brake pulleys, which are more or less an experiment. I didn't know if any bearings were left in that thing. There might be. Fender braces. I'll be here a while. Originally, for some reason, I ordered a big block dipstick, so I reordered one for a small block. I love Proform's like 70s spacey sci-fi packaging. It's great stuff. It makes me happy. Too bad I have to tear it up. Anyway, we'll be getting that on. I think I want to head towards getting the intake installed. Valve covers need to come off to do that, to get those in, but I want to weigh some options as far as valve covers anyway. So let's get into this. I looked up just this bracket last night, just an alternator one. So these are gone, and the threads for the idler is gone. $75 in black You know, I mean, it's about, depending on what color, 70, 75, even $80 plus shipping, I'm sure. So that stuff just kind of irritates me. I don't know what I'm gonna do in the end there, whether we just live with it or not. Where do I want to put this? I'll put it on the chair. Well, these are highly siliconed. We have some surface rust we got to clean up. Wish I had a speed handle here. I've actually been thinking of investing in a battery-powered ratchet. Crazy. That's madness. I really need to repent and think better of my actions. No, it's not really a bad thing. I'm just joking. It would be nice. Oh, we got a fly that was drinking oil and regretted his... Are you in a drunken stupor down in there? No, he's okay. Just let him sleep it off. Little buddy. Whoa, hold on there, whoa! Well, Edelbrock wants you to seal these gaskets and seal them well. They named gasket cinch by name in the instructions to put on the head side of the gaskets. I just used Permatex and screwed it up royally. You know, didn't check what side I was putting it on first and put it on the wrong side. So hopefully this silicone and the Permatex gasket maker don't fight with each other. Then I kicked the bottle over on the floor and made a huge mess there. So, you know, in the future, if I'm wondering why there's a huge sticky spot on the floor, you can let me know. Just say Permatex, I'll understand. But then they want you to put silicone all the way around all the ports. Sure, why not? Seems logical. Must have trouble with this stuff leaking. I don't know. Vacuum leaks and whatnot. Alright, here we go. My manifold's all clean and looks great. I've got my, left my heated ports for the manifold, the base of the carburetor heater type thing. We just keep that blocked off for fuel injection. That'll give you, I've seen a video in the past where a guy goes over this stuff with Holly Sniper specifically, and why guys have such troubles getting it to work right. And a lot of times the problem is you have left those ports open and it is atomizing or heating up your fuel mixture and giving you fits. That is where you don't want it to happen. So anyway, I was thinking I sure feel sorry for the guy that's ever going to have to pull this intake off and clean that gasket up. But then I stopped thinking that, because that could get into a lot of self-pity, if you know what I mean. So anyway, I'm going to cinch this down, starting in the center and working my way out. we'll move on to the next thing. Ran into a snag here, and I really should have caught this, thought of putting my detent cable in first and all of that. My downswing, my little dipper portion there is directly in the path of the body of the cable. So that's just not gonna work. So I am gonna run back and make another one. What I think I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna have a straight bar here. I think I can get away with that, especially with the brake here. That'll get us away from the cable. And then I will just add on a little finger coming down off of that to get that one, I hope. I may really have to trim it up close to the bushing material, you know, to get it to go past the cable portion there, but I think something like that is my best bet. Well, I think we're on the right track now. I'll show you what I did. Kind of makes me wish I would have done something like this sooner, you know, the first time around, but how do you know until you do? Much simpler design, almost laughable, you know. But obviously we're achieving the same goal, but not nearly as much cutting was involved. So I still need to weld studs in here instead of the head or the nut, because of this thing. It's just very close quarters getting this angle right. So that'll take care of that. And then got my little standoff bushings. Again, I'm going to reinstall this now. I just wanted to show you what it was looking like. Reinstall this with the bolts and then tack weld that material on so we know our holes are all lined up. And hopefully that will do it. A guy is getting all of his parts laid out here for our tank system, and I've got my Super Wonder magnetic tray, so that is perfect. All of that is installed. I got this hunk of chunk of rubber from eBay. 1/8 inch thick, 2 inches wide, and I forget how long, 25 feet or something. I mean, it's a hunk, but that should make pretty good strap liners. And then on the top where it's up against our cross members, get some anti-squeakage. So I'll cut these up, and I guess we can throw the tank in there. A decision has been made. The great minds have come together and concurred and conferred and concurred. We're going with engine color valve covers, which is exactly what I would have preferred. My next choice, my B team, would have been the aluminum fin. I just wish a guy didn't have to work with oil caps and crankcase breathers, you know, because I just love the old school Chevrolet script valve covers. But that's just not going to work unless we want to ruin them, you know, which I'm not really willing to do. It wouldn't get us anywhere. Be ruining them for no reason. Anyway, so we're going to use these later ones. Gives us all our provisions for everything we need. I'm going to strip these down, get rid of the smog era junk on that one. Now we have these wire hooks that would be helpful, but we have a whole lot more wiring than they did in the 60s, you know. So I think I may solder some studs to this, and then we can just choose what size of rubber clamp we need and go from there. Keep it nice and neat and out of harm's way. Not the prettiest option probably, but a whole lot better than that, right? Guys here at the dad-in-law's place, and I needed rubber bumpers that are unobtainium. 4 of these for the rear, 2 of these for the front. Manufacturers of large pieces of rubber are very proud of their product. So the cheapest thing that I could find were these car lift rubber blocks. Let me go get the piece I'm cutting off of. I just got these off eBay, a set of 4. I think was $30, $35, something like that. All I care about was they were solid rubber. So I've already got my 2 front rough ones in rough form cut out by dimension, and then I'll finish them up on the belt sander. So now I'm gonna cut 4 of these guys out, probably just the outside dimensions, and then back at the ranch I'll find a way to cut my notches out on the side and on the bottom. Looks like we could have a problem with black lung around here. Actually, it's not that bad. Working with the stuff, you don't mind to notice any dust. But it sure is powdery. Anyway, this is what the progress we have made. The rear bumpers here, I've got 3 of them so far. And then my 2 fronts, very simple. But we are going to do the last rear one together. And I need to treat all those. So here's my raw block we cut. And this stuff works, cuts and machines, quote unquote, very well with bandsaws, with file. I've got 80 grit wheel on the belt sander, and one that's a belt that's completely worn out. I don't even know. It's completely irrelevant what grit that is because it's basically tissue paper. But for right now, I am going to turn this on and we are going to square this up by eye. Alright, now I'm going to take my silver streak. It works somewhat well, and we're just going to mark where we want our ledge. About halfway. I've actually made these bumpers about 1/8 of an inch taller than the original. If I made it that, copied it exactly, it just barely sticks up above the surface of our cast iron. Which, fine, it works. I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to give it a little more meat, which should not be detrimental at all. Okay, so that's the height of the ledge, and this is going to be roughly 1/8 of an inch. Something like that. Something like that. Top of the rubber about flush with the top of the blade. It's about perfect for the depth I want there. I'm going to finish it with my hacksaw. Now if we need to clean it up, an illegitimate file works pretty good. I want a nice chamfer on our outer bottom edges to slide that into the cast iron piece, just like the original had. Flip it over. I'm going to clean up the part that's seen. One of those stands for your portabands, Milwaukee portabands, would be ideal for cutting one of these out. Definitely on my list of tools to get. Now lastly, I want to give them a little bit of protection and a little bit of sheen. I'm using Trim Restore. You could probably play around with like silicone spray. I don't know what all. I'm just as new to this as you are. So I'm trying this. It seems to give it a little bit of shine, a little bit of sheen. I don't know that a guy would ever achieve that ultra smooth gloss look that comes when these things are molded. I played around with a heat gun, I played around with a propane torch. None of that seemed to have any effect on this particular rubber, at least to the temperature that I was willing to take it. I didn't want to start burning this stuff. So maybe one of you has a suggestion. You could put it in the comments. And I may just actually go grab, I think I have some silicone spray out there. I may go grab that and try it with you. Well, these are the products I have here. I'd like to try some like tire shine, tire dressing, but I just don't have any here at the moment. Of these three, the silicone spray really kind of catches my eye more because it's looks blacker and smoother, honestly. You know, not to say that would be what's best in the long run, but it looks better starting out, so I really don't know. Now I'm trying to get all my little duckies in a row. I've got steering linkage parts, bump stops, brake parts, just trying to get all the hardware that I need to go purchase written down. I've got calipers painted in the booth there. I got to go paint adjusters. I'm kind of blah, but I think I've got a handle on it. I'm trying to warm it up in here. That has been such a challenge lately. But we have another full complement of steering parts, brake parts, suspension parts, gearbox, all kinds of things that are going to get their allotment of chassis black. Looks like I zapped another mouse in the bug zapper. Oh, those are always fun to get out of there. Anyway, everything is once again coated in chassis black. We're going to give it a couple days, let it cure real nice. Boy, we've got a infestation going on out here. Okay, and I should have enough left over. I wanted to at least get bumper brackets in this paint yet, and I think we have enough left over for that, and I'm kind of hoping enough left over for the crossbars that go under the bedwood. That would be nice to get in that also. We'll see. Somehow I managed not to press record again, so I'm sitting here like an idiot talking to myself, apparently. But I think you probably can grasp what I did with the rubber bump stops, you know. And I just... all four rear ones had a mechanical ledge by the shape of them, you know, that holds them in place. But I shot some weather strip adhesive in there as well, just to help hold them. And now I'm gonna go glue these. Bump stop, bump goes, she stays, love grows under my umbrella. The front of the rear is pretty self-explanatory, you know, it just kind of does what it does. Now for the rear one, we have some witness marks, which, I mean, this is just from it rubbing and where it was once installed. There you can see a sharp corner. Basically, the rear of this hole is about center on your bump stop here. And you just sandwich the frame beneath this piece, or between these two pieces. Well, my people, if you look close, you can probably spot some clues that tell you I've continued to work on it since the filming of what you have seen so far. So next time we're just gonna have to catch up again. At this point of me speaking to you, not what you've seen so far. I know, it's a long process, and it's a process getting videos out too. But at this point I am today, as I am recording this, I have moved on from the chassis. There's still some little details to take care of, but I really need a cab on the frame. So I have moved on, and we are in body mode, rust deletion mode, welding mode. So next time we rejoin the 40 Chevy pickup project, you're going to see some of that action. And more of the brakes and the fuel system and the whatever else we've done here. So thank you so much for joining me, guys. God bless you. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. I'm going to cover you up and say goodnight. Good night, little friend. What, don't you talk to your cars?